Welcome to Kestryl and Company. Tonight we're going to talk about healing processes, and both within the pagan community and just in normal everyday society. As you can see, I'm on a massage table, and my guest tonight is Ariana Lightning Storm, and she is a healer and priestess from our community. And as we talk about healing, I'm going to go through one of my healing processes, which is a treatment for a chronic back problem. So if you will bear with us and join us for a comfortable evening this evening. Hi.
Well, I want to start you off. I'm just going to work a little bit on your feet. One of the things I like to do is work on people's feet when I start because it helps them to ground and get into their body, because oftentimes people get stuck in their heads.
Well, let's explain grounding a little bit.
Okay, grounding basically, there's a couple of ways I approach grounding. One of them is that I look at grounding as a way to get back into your body when you're stuck in your head. Feeling your whole body rather than just, little parts of it when it aches. You're just being really present inside of your body. Most people, even a lot of pagans, don't really get into their bodies much. They are a lot in their heads. A lot of people out in the world will often describe themselves as heads walking around on bodies. Or being carried around by their bodies. And that's sort of one of the ways that that people could use to ground more. The other grounding is sending what some people use is a grounding, is sending roots or cords or something from, an image of a connection from your feet or from the base of your spine into the earth.
So it's a kind of visualization process.
Absolutely. And it's a way of connecting, sort of like a lightning rod, grounding into the earth so that the energy that runs through you doesn't burn you out.
What's so important about chiropractic adjustment and getting your muscles around your spine relaxed so that it's all in the right place?
Well, when you're working with energy especially, or even just in everyday life, your body channels energy or moves energy through it, be it biochemical or electrical or whatever you want to imagine working with. When you are channeling energy especially, what happens is that if your spine is out of alignment or if your muscles are really tense, you can get places where you can get burned out, or you can cause just misconnections, misfiring, like a bad circuit. It can cause problems and burn out.
One of the terms that people may be familiar with in this particular process is the term of chakras. And they're located in various places along the spine. So what are we working with in the lower end there?
Well, right now I'm working with the feet. I'm opening up your there are chakras actually. A lot of people don't know this because they usually work with the 7 ones in the spine and the head. But there are also chakras in your feet and in your knees and in your major joints and your hands and your elbows as well. And some people attribute them to even more places. And so when I work on the feet, when I start, I'm opening up the chakras that connect you to the earth, the ground, which is very important to us.
So chakras are basically little energy centers then?
Yes, some people see them as like camera lenses that open up, or like flowers, and they can be open or closed, and they can lodge things in them. Like when you feel like you have a real strong connection with somebody, you probably do, and it's probably in one of your chakras or more. And that connection is called a cord in some systems. And what you do is, if you want to get rid of somebody's connection to you, or if you're kind of like, have a bad connection to somebody, or if you're not feeling healthy with somebody trying to drain you, because that often happens, you can get drained through your chakra through somebody sending a cord into it and connecting to you. You can visualize releasing yuck from your chakras and removing cords that you don't want, or at least reconnecting with people the same way.
What is some of the other things that the body can tell you about people? I understand that there's now a practice where people can start learning more about their childhood problems and such by finding out how their body's treating it.
Well, there's many processes. One of them that I've been working with through someone who has been working with my healing process. That is body psychotherapy, and it's a mixture of a bunch of things. I haven't actually read up on it. I only know what my practitioner who works with me does. She's a counselor. And one of the main tools for her is massage, because you can tell from the body where a person's in their body. And massage therapy itself does the same things, actually. If you're not present in your body, in a place in your body, if your spirit is not, it's sort of pulled away from a place because it's painful, you'll be cold there, and the skin will get lighter, and you'll have a lot of problems in that area. And the way to resolve that is to become present in that area and work through the pain. Mm-hmm. It's a very difficult process. It's a lot harder than just ignoring it and taking drugs. But you get to keep that place. It doesn't go bad. It doesn't get cancer, things like that.
There are a lot of people who are starting to believe now that cancer and other forms of terminal illness are being caused by things they're storing in places. By not, for instance, lung cancer having to do with not breathing properly, in addition to not breathing the right kind of air.
Yes, lung cancer, other kinds of cancer, cancer of the womb, for instance, or the uterus. A lot of these things all these different cancers often have to do with anger. And that's what, if you store anger or store hostility towards a part of your body. I find that everybody I know has some kind of discomfort about some part of their body, dislike. And in our culture, if you're not skinny, you're considered ugly. And you often will be taught as a child, especially if you started out pudgy as a child, to hate parts of your body tremendously. I certainly grew up with that kind of problem.
As did I.
And it takes a lot to work out that anger and release it. It takes a lot of dedication to getting over the problem. But if you are dedicated to getting over it, it's so freeing because you have your power again, because your energy is blocked wherever you hate your body. Your energy is going to be blocked there. And you're not going to be whole, and you're going to be missing a piece of yourself. A lot of women don't have their legs, and what that means is that they don't connect down to their legs, and they can't stand on their own 2 feet. That's one of the big things that a lot of women need to learn to do. So that's why I start with the legs. I start to connect you with your feet and your legs so you can have that base to stand on, and then I move on up.
Well, I know that having been worked on in this particular vein for a number of years now, that probably one of the best things that someone can do if they go to get a massage, even if it's just because it feels good, is to just concentrate on opening yourself, feeling where the person's hands are going. Maybe you can learn a little bit about yourself that way.
Massage is specifically very good for getting you in touch with your body and the feelings in your body. And some people are scared of it for that very reason, because our society is so caught up with sex as being, that being the only reason to be in the body at all, or to touch the body at all, that they get scared of that sort of thing. When what it really is simply a way for you to be in touch with your physical process. I mean, if you're going to go out and exercise, you should also stretch, relax, and release tension, as well as go out and work your muscles. But if you don't have a lot of time to exercise, one of the neat things about massage is that it works those muscles too. It doesn't make you tight and strong, but it does get some blood flow into a lot of areas that don't normally get blood flow, especially with people who sit down all day and such.
How much training does a person have to go through before they get licensed to do massage properly? What should a person look for if they're looking for a massage therapist?
Well, there's a place called Potomac Massage Therapy Institute, and they are local. There's also a Baltimore group, which also is a massage therapy school. I believe they go for 3 semesters, and so that's I guess it's around a year. I haven't gone to them, so I don't know. I've gone to a private teacher to learn myself, and she was licensed at the Potomac School. So what she does is she teaches a private class, and it took us several months to take the course. And I believe that it takes a long time, at least a year of really training and learning about the body before you can really go and be authoritative on how to work with it. But anyone can massage. Anyone can be, can be worked on. It's just when you're looking to get some real deep-seated work done, emotional work done, you want to go to somebody who's had at least a year in training of some sort.
Is it important to work on finding someone who's of a similar emotional background to yourself?
It helps, but it's not necessary if they're trained in some form of counseling or if you have a counselor separate from the massage. Because a massage can bring up stuff, and if the person's not trained to counsel you on it, you could take it to somebody else and talk to them or work it out. Or if you have a process in your coven or group that you can work on with releasing and dealing with it, then that's another avenue.
What are some of the more common problems you find? I know you mentioned women not being connected with their legs. What are some other common things that you find? I know that some of the people that I occasionally give massages to have what I fondly call computer shoulders.
Yes, definitely. Shoulder problems, lower back problems, very, very, very common, like yours. And what happens is that with the shoulder and the back problems, it's actually connected usually. The back problems generally come from, will switch off too when you work on somebody, but the shoulder problems, it comes from a myriad of things. Sitting in front of a computer hunched. A lot of people hunch over to protect their parts of their bodies, like their heart. Protecting your heart is very common because our culture, again, I feel that our society has been very damaging to a lot of people who have a lot of open emotions. So unless you've been brought up in an idyllic atmosphere, it's fairly likely that you're going to have had some emotional pain, and a lot of people close in their shoulders to protect their hearts. Other people close in other parts of their bodies to protect places. That has to do with, but the shoulders has to do with the heart usually, because you're protecting your heart. Also, one that I find very common is that the shoulders will be protecting, the shoulder tightness will be protecting a person from being looked at or watched. And that's another big problem that I find. And the lower back is just the whole world's on my shoulders, and the whole world's waiting on my shoulders, and it just goes right down to the lower back. It's all connected.
My lower back problem, I know that there's some emotional connotations that we're working through, but one of my main problems was that at a very young age, approximately 10 to 12 years old, I was thrown from a horse and my lower spine was compacted. This is something I didn't even know until I'd been in therapy for about 6 months.
Yes, well, there are, of course, always going to be physical reasons. One of the things that I find is that there's usually an emotional reason and a physical reason that comes together. Sometimes it's purely emotional, but for the most part, there's usually a physical one that'll go along with the emotional one to sort of justify it. You were saying that people, if they go to a massage therapist for their body and then they go to a mental or emotional therapist for the issues that it drags up, what are some of the physical warning signs that they can look for that something important is being brought up? Everything from a muscle release, which can be experienced as a rush of energy from that spot all through the body, to an experience I had was when I experienced a muscle release through something called bioenergetics, where I was working on my legs, and I experienced a release that was really intense, and what happened was that I literally taste metal in my mouth. If you find yourself getting extremely emotional of some sort, like anger really welling up in you, or dread or despair, or any number of emotions, some of them that are hard to even describe, what's the important thing to do is to stay with it, not to run away from it. As if you can, just try to stay in the emotion for a little while, and then just try to release it out, just try to let it dissipate, rather than to run away from it and wall it off again. Because if it's come up, it means you're probably ready to deal with it.
I also remember that the last time I had a really intense session of healing, I ended up feeling quite nauseous.
Yes, that's one of the things that you may have, especially because a lot of people store things in their intestines and their stomachs, store toxins that will get released during a healing process. And that pain will sometimes become nausea and then release out. I've not actually heard of anyone actually throwing up from it, but just feeling nauseous for a short period of time. The best thing to do, and anytime you get deep work or any kind of massage work, actually any kind of massage work done on you, is to drink lots of water afterwards. Not everybody knows this, but when you release all these fluids and toxins from these areas that have been stored up, even when you're just doing a Swedish massage, what'll happen is that your lymph fluid will start moving around, and if it doesn't have enough water to release it out through your kidneys and such, then you can end up getting sick. So it's very important to drink water after a massage, or even after other kinds of intense emotional work. It's good to release out through drinking a lot of water.
Are only negative emotions brought up by this?
Sometimes you can get great pleasure and joy. Certainly, like with forms like rebirthing, I've seen incredible joy come up it's a breathing process of healing, where people get these full body, just ecstatic feelings going all through their bodies. Once you're actually able to release your blocks to joy can come through.
People have identified massage with sex for a long, long time. I mean, for the longest time, if you gave a massage to someone, it was automatically a precursor to seduction. How long has it taken for massage to actually become, quote unquote, a literal form of healing?
Well, I think it always was a form of healing, and I think that the sex connotation has come from our overly inhibited culture, which thinks that every touch is got to be sexual. It still is a problem, and there's lots of litigation around it. People are still having problems doing massage as a form of therapy to this day because of the connotation about sex. So it's considered a valid form of healing, but in many places, and it's getting more and more legal, but the litigation is going on currently to make sure that it stays that way.
Within the pagan community, do you find, because of the more openness about our bodies, do you find it easier working on people who are from a more earth-based culture?
Yes, I often get more response from people who are open to letting the energy flow through their bodies. Pagans and women in general. Although some women, I'm sitting here doing this very interesting technique that loosens up the lower back here.
And believe me, it's not all that comfortable.
Women are...
It's working, but it's not
yes.
comfortable.
Women often have, really are more open. But then some men can be really cool about it too. It just really depends on the person, and yes, I find pagans easier to work on because they're more aware of what's going on in their bodies usually.
Now, this isn't to say that there aren't people out there from other religious paths that can't do equal amounts of great healing.
Absolutely.
I know that there are several people within our community, as there are throughout the world right now, who are going through various types of 12-step programs. What are some of the more common physical signs of people who have gone through alcohol and drug abuse?
Signs of in the body,
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's usually a lot of stored toxins. There's usually a lot of, but it's interesting because they'll have the more dramatic releases. I find that a lot of people, yes, I'm getting deep into you here.
And it hurts.
But it'll feel good later.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things that I find with people who have been through alcohol and drug abuse who have gotten past it is that they're really open to the energy flow, much more so than the average person. And because they've gone through this death rebirth experience of letting go of a severe pain of being addicted, they're generally a little better about releasing pain when you work on them and letting go of it for good.
One of the things they're going to hear a lot of right now is me breathing. I think an important thing is that if you're ever getting a deep massage like she's doing right now, you really have to concentrate on staying relaxed and not fighting against the pain. So that any of the breathing you hear is just to help me relax.
Also, whenever you do a deep pressure work, and I'm not going very, very deep here because it's harder
want to see me come up off the table.
Right. But if you go, when you go deep, one of the important things is to do a soothing and smoothing stroke afterwards to sort of soothe the area. And it also moves around some of the fluids to get rid of some of the stuff that got released when there was pain. Because pain usually connotates a stiff muscle. A stiff muscle means that there are stored chemicals and poisons in the muscle. And so what I'm doing is helping her to release those stored poisons and chemicals that keep it, and whatever in there that's keeping it stiff. And then when she releases it and relaxes it, her whole body lets go.
And it's not necessarily easy.
No, it's a more difficult process. But, for some people it's very simple. For some people, just so different parts of their body have different things. A lot of people have stuff in their shoulders, which is why I work a lot on shoulders.
What are some of the pointers you could give someone who's never, ever, ever laid hands on anybody before, but they want to learn massage?
Well, what I would do is I would say start light. Don't go real deep, but pretend like you're kneading bread, okay? Pretend like you're working like you're just going to knead some bread. And if you work on the muscles that way, and if you don't just, don't rub real lightly because it doesn't do anything. I mean, all you're doing is rubbing the skin around. You really want to get down into the muscles. So just pretend like you're kneading bread, and even without oil, it works fairly well that way. Other thing is to just listen to or pay attention to what you're feeling under your fingers. And that's really the most important thing. Follow the contours of the muscle in the body. If you follow the muscle, that's all the work you need to do. Just don't go too hard, and always ask if this is too much or too little. Always listen to the person you're working on. That's the most important tool you have, is the person you're working on. They can tell you if you're going too hard, and do listen to them. You don't know best, they do.
I think one of the things that I learned when I was first starting to do massage is that if you have someone who's not verbally responsive, then your next best bet is to listen to their breathing, because if they go, most likely something hurts.
This is true. It is important to make a contract before you start working on somebody, to ask for, paying attention to what goes on in the body. You gotta, it's a good idea to ask the person to say, hey, this is too much, and to really say, look, don't be macho about it. It's not going to do you any good to be macho about it. It's not going to help your muscles anymore to be macho about it. If it hurts too much, I'll stop and I'll back off, and we'll work a little lighter.
This is wonderful. This is probably one of my favorite shows so far.
It's fun.
I think one of the things that's most important to mention is that when you heal yourself, you make yourself better for the community in general.
Absolutely.
Because once you start healing yourself, then you can start really working on healing your community. Thanks for joining me tonight on Kestryl and Company. I'm going to continue this until we're done. Have a good evening, and blessed be.